everybody doing? This is my first time back since my surgery. Hope everything's working well on this setup. I haven't done it for a little bit, so excuse me if I'm a little rusty. I'm going to try something new as well, bringing on somebody through Discord. I texted him, so we'll see if he gets it and is able to come in. This is the first time the Idaho Murders. So please excuse me if you guys have heard some of this. This is the first time that I've actually discussed it. The warrant affidavit come out. Now, I know it sounds confusing, and it is confusing. An affidavit is just a sworn document that's turned into the courts. So don't let the word affidavit slip you up. This is a warrant affidavit. This is just a warrant for this guy's arrest. To be honest with you, and I've talked to a couple other law enforcement friends of mine and a couple of ex-law enforcement people on YouTube, and this is uncommonly long. I mean, 19 pages, and one of them is totally redacted. Also, excuse my appearance. My shoulders are jacked up, so don't have much patience for shaving and the such. But the warrant is so long because it has to be descriptive. Okay. This is the way it works when it comes to a warrant. The judge is representing us. Okay, all of us. They're bound by the Constitution of the United States, okay, and its amendments, and state and local laws that are written by lawmakers who are also bound by the Constitution and the amendments. Now, all of those documents and laws and amendments and stuff all revolve around a reasonable person's belief. Life and liberty. There's not a whole bunch of a gray area. There's not a lot to interpret. Now, some people may have a difference of opinion on who's a reasonable person and who's not, but collectively as a country, we pretty much decide, hey kid, it's good to be back, brother. Does everything look and sound okay outside of my ugly mug? Man, my left shoulder, the right one's the one I got replaced. My left shoulder's hurting worse than the right one. But anyways, getting back to this. So this corporal, right? And kudos to him, man. He's been doing this for 4 years with this department. He may have come from another department, I don't know. But he's got 4 years of experience, and he's a corporal in the homicide division. So that's my cap's off to him. It really is. Brett Payne. I'm gonna have to put my cheaters on. Look even dumber than I usually do. But you know what? It's good to look dumb. Nobody asks you shit. And these documents that I have floating around here, it's just a layout of the house, and it's a copy of this warrant that I'm looking at. But I just went through and highlighted it. Actually, my wife went out and met some friends for some appetizers, and she came home and I was sitting at the table, bitching and pissing and moaning because my shoulders hurt, and I was highlighting this, and she goes, "What is that?" And I said, "It's the warrant." "What warrant?" I was like, "For the Idaho poor babe. I'm gonna do my first podcast, since the surgery." And she said, "Oh, good. She's glad I do this. Gives me something to do besides aggravate her." But and I'm gonna try to remain unbiased, cool, calm, and collective. But this whole time, all right, thanks, kid. I appreciate that, kid. I've been watching Charlie, those guitars, that button that he has instead of a kill switch. putting that button is genius. Is genius. And I'm sorry about this dry hack. It's the pain meds, the oxys. Nothing I can do. I try not to take them. I haven't taken them in a few days, but they're still in my system. All right, but back to this. Sorry about that. So he's got to be descriptive on this, because some of this is, it's not direct evidence. Okay, it's got to be corroborated. So he has to put things together, and I'll explain it to you. But I went through and I just highlighted because I'm sure that everybody has seen it. I'm assuming that everybody has seen it. I don't like to assume, but this has been out for a few days. But I've been watching other YouTubers and reading Facebook and Reddit and all of that. Trying to get, this is my first time even talking about Idaho, so I was just trying to get a feel for it and everything. And I was sick to my stomach today. There's people out there that are actually blaming Dylan, saying that she's involved, and they're serious. They believe that she is involved with all of this, and actually, that it disgusts me. It really does. To see shit like that. Shame on those people. Shame on them. That's a horrible. It's a horrible way to think, and for no reason. There's no evidence. Nothing. There's nothing that points to her being involved with this. They just like to hear themselves talk, I guess. But okay. So we all know what happened. On November 13th, early in the morning, between 4 and 4:30 ish, just to, for argument's sake. Some say it may be a little bit after 4 because of the DoorDash, and a little bit around 4:25 because of the time that the car was seen leaving. But it was about 4:00 p.m. Okay, that Corporal Payne got there to the scene. So if they were killed between 4 and 4:20, their bodies have been laying there for 12 hours. Okay, so that's a bit of a problem for the detectives to come in. I don't know why it was. They called the police at noontime. I don't know what took him 4 hours to get there. I do question that. But there was a Idaho State Police forensics team already on the scene, and they were preparing to begin processing the scene. Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers, is the one that walked Corporal Payne through the scene. Okay, so again, I'm assuming that the coroner had already been there and observed the scene. So Officer Smith and Corporal Payne went in, and they went upstairs to the second floor because Officer Smith's already been there. He knows what's pertinent in the house and what's not as far as the crime scene goes. So they went up to the second floor and they went to Xana's room. Okay, and I'm just going verbatim off of this. I'll kind of give my own spin afterwards. But just kind of going off of this verbatim. I'm not going to read it word for word. I've highlighted stuff, and I may paraphrase a few things to save some time. So they went in the room, and they saw Xena and Ethan's body in her bedroom. So nobody was in the hallway. Nobody was in the bathroom. Both bodies were in the bedroom. And then there's one whole redacted page. I don't know if that had photos or what. Something that none of you want to see. Trust me, because I've seen a bunch of this stuff, crime scenes and all that, and you really don't want to see it. If you have a morbid curiosity, and I know people do, doesn't make you a bad person. I do as well. But a lot of people don't want to see this kind of stuff. Okay, so they went, and they could tell that they were stabbed. Okay, they were probably in various stage of undress. They going to sleep, maybe just a pair of shorts, and she may have had t-shirt and shorts on or whatever. But it would have been easy to see slashes, cuts, stabs, to surmise that they weren't shot, they were stabbed, they weren't choked, stuff like that. So any reasonable person would see that they were stabbed. So then they went upstairs, and first they went to Gonzalez's room. That's the one on the third floor with the slider and the balcony. And there was a dog in that room when the Moscow police officers initially responded. So they went to there's a bathroom, and then there's another room, and that's Madison Morgan's room. And there's two female bodies on a single bed, a twin size bed, and they're both deceased with visible stab wounds. And it was at that time, it says I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather nice sheath. I don't know what later means, but I'm not going to nitpick this guy's verbiage. And I'm here to tell you, this thing's 19 pages. It's not all his notes either. He's got notes from probably 4 or 5 different ISP officers and FBI agents, as well as Moscow police and other homicide detectives. So he puts all the notes together and compiles them into this one document, and then he swears and attests to it and turns it into a request for a warrant. So he sees this sheath, this infamous sheath now, right? And it got processed, and it has a K bar on it, USMC, the Marine Corps Eagle Globe anchor insignia and all that. But here's the thing. The state lab located a single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the sheath. One. A single source. Okay? So think about that. This thing was manufactured somewhere. How many people touched that snap button during the process of making the snap, installing it on the leather, packaging it, shipping it out, truck driver, whoever, people handling it at the stores, at putting it on the shelf, people wanting to see it, hold it, touch it. How many people must have handled this thing? But there was only one single source of DNA on it. One. And it was a male. So whoever had this sheath took great care to sterilize it. Okay, more than most people would, And what I picture in my cynical little mind is that from the second this guy got it, he didn't touch it with his hands whatsoever. He had gloves on, probably ordered it from online or whatever. But he just made a mistake. At some point, either the glove ripped or he wasn't thinking when he snapped it shut. But we'll get to that more. It didn't say anything about if they recovered any kind of evidence off of the leather itself. But the thing that gets me is one single source. So that tells you right there that this was planned. Someone took the time to sterilize that knife sheath. Okay, so then there were 2 other girls in the house. One was on the very first floor in her bedroom, and one was on the second floor near the living room and at the bottom of the stairs that goes up. And I'll try and point it out as it goes by. This picture right here that's up right now, too, I want to explain that to you guys, too. I usually don't like stuff on Reddit. That was on Reddit, but it's a great point. It really is. So on November 12th, Ethan and his girlfriend were seen by BF, girl on the bottom floor, at a party on campus at one of the excuse me, sorority homes or houses or whatever, Sigma Chi house, and they returned around 1:45. The other 2 girls, they went to a local bar, the Corner Club. It's all verified on video. They were able to get all this stuff down. They were there from like 10 to 1:30. And at 1:30ish, they went to the grub truck, and a private party, not a Uber or anything, provided. Well, it may have been an Uber. I mean, are they private party? Were they 1099? I don't even know. But anyways, they verified that this private party gave them both a ride home at approximately 1:56 from downtown Moscow in front of the grub truck to Fort King residence. I mean, to King Road residence. I'm sorry. I don't know where I got Fort King. There's a Fort King around here. That's why. At 1:56 a.m. Okay, so that's pretty specific. So it probably is an Uber type thing, Uber or Lyft, because 1:56 is pretty specific. I would have said, yeah, I picked them up in, I don't know, around 2 o'clock, dropped them off. So, um, all the occupants of that house were home by 2 and asleep or at least in their rooms by 4. Now, we can't speculate here. We can't. But from what we have to go on, it's clear that at least Xana was not asleep. She got DoorDash at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Now, from what I understand, DoorDash or Grubhub or whatever, any of those deliveries, they notify you via an app, and they put your food on the doorstep, ring your doorbell, knock on the door, or whatever. They've already talked to that person that delivered the food, so I'm sure that they have the information that they need for that. And we'll get into that later too, because there was a Jack in the Box bag in the kitchen. That doesn't mean that was that DoorDash delivery. From what I understand, that Jack in the Box is way over in Pullman. Actually, it's pretty close to Brian's residence, and it closes at 4, so it could be. I don't think that really matters. There's not a whole lot to that. The only question I have about the delivery, and here's a for instance, right now I'm sitting at the front of this home. It's a sun porch. It's enclosed with windows, but it's Florida. It's all screens. We don't use this. We use the back door. There's a big porch in the back and sliders and stuff. So the people that deliver food here, pizza and what have you, they know to go to the back door. So I don't know if the DoorDash guy left the food at the front door there on the first floor and she had to go down and get it, or if he knew to bring it up to the back slider. Um, it's something that I would like to know, because I'm sure they deliver food there constantly. So if they do have some kind of agreement like that, I'm sure that all the drivers and the such know that. And the reason it makes a difference to me is because about that time, the suspect was in the area. Some have even said that, well, maybe he ordered the DoorDash and was gonna, that's the way he was gonna know who was home and yada yada yada. I don't see that. I'm not gonna discredit that, but I don't see that happening. But at any rate, the suspect was in the area, according to law enforcement, who, by the way, did a great job on this. Okay, so Dylan stated that she woke up around 4. Now, she's on the second floor, and she's right near the living room and the bottom of the stairs up to the third floor, like I said. This is her room. Well, you can't see. Shit, I'm pointing at the screen like an idiot. My shoulder's killing me, so that was a stupid move. But I'm sure you know the layout of the land already. Okay, so she woke up around 4 by what she stated sounded like Gonzalez playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms. Now, what does that mean? Was that banging around? Was that jingling like a dog's collar? I don't know what kind of collar the dog wears, but just thumping around wouldn't make anybody assume that, go right to, oh, you're playing with a dog. Maybe the girls could have been horse housing or whatever, or dropped something. So if she heard jingling, it may well have been something else. It may have been something that the suspect was already in the house, or if Zaina went downstairs to get the food. Maybe she had keys with her to grab that food and then lock the door. I guess it's a keypad, so that I'm not sure of. But if that's the case, the jingling may have been something that Xena had or whatever. If that's the case, if it's because she heard jingling and not thumping or whatever, I could be talking for no apparent reason. So a short time later, she heard who she thought was Gonzalez say something to the effect of "There's someone here." Now, a short time later, I don't know how much that is. So around 4-ish, she hears thump, 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 and it sounds like it's coming from upstairs. And she's directly below, not Gonzalez's room, the other room, partially, I believe. Um, so she heard somebody say "There's someone here," something to that effect. And Kernoodle's phone, Zena's phone, she was on TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. Now that doesn't tell you the whole story either. She could have been on the TikTok app and been doing something else, or already have been attacked or whatever. It doesn't say that she was interacting with it. Oh yeah, but it says she was using it. So yeah, so 4:12. So between the time of the Dylan hearing the noise, assuming that Gonzalez was playing with the dog upstairs, and her hearing somebody say "There's somebody here," um, Xana was awake at 4:12 using TikTok. So that's kind of interesting. That's it's 12 minutes when you consider they're saying this whole thing was over by 4:25 inside the house. That's 12 minutes, and I'm going to just stop there for 1 second. Well, let me go through this whole um, thing of events, and then I'll just rewind it for a second before we get into the forensic side of it and how they caught this guy, how they got this guy. Okay, and Dylan stated she looked out of her bedroom but didn't see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. She stated she opened the door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Zaina's room. Dylan then said she heard a male voice saying something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." So that male voice, that could have been the suspect or Ethan, right? They're the only two males that were in the home. So either the suspect said it, trying to trick them, or maybe Ethan. And I know this sounds really sad and gory, but kind of romantic at the same time. Maybe him, as he was dying, almost succumbing to his wounds, was comforting Xana. You know, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they didn't get found really close to each other, but it may well have been the suspect. You know, just being a dick. No other way around it. Trying to trick them. So at 4:17, so at 4:12, she's on TikTok, right? And DM hears all this stuff and crying. It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to help you. Then at 4:17, there's a security camera at 11112 King Road. Now this residence is in the front of the house. It's facing away from the house where this camera is. It's a security camera that has audio, and it's not a Ring doorbell. It's a security camera with audio. So, but it's facing the other way. I mean, totally away, and it's 57 feet from the wall. 57 feet. So it picked up, according to this, distorted audio of what sounded like voices or whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Zaina's bedroom, so 50 feet. I heard 57 somewhere. It must have been on one of the people that I trust. Hey, Sylvia. Good to see you again. Sorry, I haven't been really watching the chat. I get enthralled with this stuff. Okay, so this distorted audio, they bring it into play. It's more of a timestamp type thing for them. If it's muffled and stuff like that, and there's really no need for any other noise in that area. I'm not even sure if that's the dog that was in the house that was barking. You know, I'm sure they're not either. But it's something that they have for a timestamp, so they have to use it until they prove that it's not. Um, that it didn't come from there. 50 feet isn't far away, but we're talking about hearing things through a wall, um, loud thud, and dog barking. And Dylan didn't mention any of that stuff, so I know that poor girl's traumatized. So it's probably difficult. And all of these comments that they got from Dylan, this is during the initial interview. They can't just continue to interview her and her story change to get a warrant. They got to take the initial report to use that. Now it could change. It's fluid. By the time the PCA comes out, this is just the warrant. When the PCA comes out, it should be a little bit more descriptive. And we'll see what we got in it from there. And Dylan stated she opened the door for a third time after she heard crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing, which I find interesting too. And like I said, I'm not nitpicking verbiage, but she didn't say dark clothing, black clothing, and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose, walking towards her. Now that picture above me that I was telling you about, the one that has a neon sign, it's in the corner of the living room, at the end of the hallway from Zena's room, but right near where Dylan's door is. So right there, you see that green circle. Okay, that's that neon sign in the picture below. So if the suspect's leaving, now he egressed the same way he entered. In 99.99% of crimes, the suspects do that. And it's a psychological thing. You were successful getting in that way, so you know you'll be successful getting out that way. In other words, if he came in the sliding doors and then he tried to run out the front door and he gets to it and it's locked, you know, that's going to cost him. So they usually egress the same way they enter because they were successful. And it's human nature. Everybody does that. And I'm sure she didn't swing her door all the way open. The way it's hinged, it swings inside. And as you're outside, you know, it's hinged on the left. So she opened it a crack. She could see him. He was lit by that neon sign, enough for her to see these features, but also enough to draw his attention away from that door. He probably would have been, because he knew where the exit was. So he probably would have been looking to see if there's anybody else. And I'll tell you what my theory is with that. And where her door was at the bottom of the stairs, it was kind of a weird place. You'd probably think it's a closet, to be honest with you. But at any rate, I don't think that he saw her. There's a couple different things that I think could have happened. He may be real regimented and kind of like a bank robber. Gave himself so much time. All right, I got 20 minutes. I'm going to go in, kill as many people as I can. Then I'm going to get out. Bank robbers have been known to leave thousands and thousands of dollars because their time was up. You know, they know how long they can stay in there. So he may have walked by her. Not only that, fighting one person is exhausting. Killing four people in 20 minutes, he may have just been too tired. And I know this sounds really nonchalant, and I don't mean to be like that. This shit makes me want to cry. It does. But it's just a fact. He may have been physically exhausted from what he had just done. But I personally don't think that he saw her. And that neon light really lends credence to that. And like I said, we'll get in that a little bit more. But she said he was 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. Now, to me, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of guys she's describing there. But and this is what gets everybody hung up, and I would want to know it too. And she closed her door and locked it, and she didn't call the police till almost noontime the next day. Um, and that's about the time that the, the suspect left. Okay, so just to go over this, if you take law enforcement out of it, okay, take LE out of this, and you are walking through this crime scene, see what you would surmise. On the second floor, there's a bedroom that has two bodies in it that have been stabbed to death. They succumbed to bleeding out type injuries. And on the third floor, there's also two people that have succumbed to stab wounds. But there is a knife sheath on the third floor. So let's just talk about that for 1 second. The knife sheath. I don't have a picture of it. I wish I did, but it has a rather long belt loop. It's actually a flap of the sheath itself. The back of the sheath turns into a flap, so it's rather tall. Okay, it's made for a wide marine webbed belt. Okay, so it'll fit that belt. So if you put it on a regular belt and it's about this tall, if you go to pull the knife out, first that whole sheath has to move about that much. And then it's awkward to get the knife out. It's just odd that I remember when I was a kid, I had something similar to that when I was in the Boy Scouts, and I remember that it was a pain in the ass. You had to use two hands. Some kids even put a hole in the very tip of the sheath and tied string around their legs, like the old Indians and cowboys used to do, and that helped. That helped a lot doing that. I never did that to mine because it was actually my dad's, and he would have killed me if I put a hole in it. But so I could see why he wouldn't have had it on his belt. It's going to be his downfall, though. That sheath is going to be his downfall. But either way, he would have had to have used two hands. Okay, so if he didn't have it attached to his belt, he would have to take it out and pull the knife out. Hold it with one hand, pull it out with the other hand. So if he, and this is how I picture it now, okay, he went, I think personally that he had a problem with one of the girls upstairs. Probably Morgan, is it? It wasn't Kaylee. It was the other girl that begins with M. Because he did not even go to Kaylee's room, I don't think, because he didn't encounter the dog. Otherwise, he would have had to deal with the dog, and I think this guy was smart enough to avoid dog hair. So I think he had a problem with the other girl. Probably they worked at a restaurant. Maybe he saw her there and she snuffed him or whatever. But he could see from where he parked and where he entered. He was above, so he could see into that area of the house. So he knew that she was in that room. So he went in and immediately went upstairs. And I'm surmising that because of where they found the sheath. That it was in that room on that bed. So that would tell me if he started downstairs and killed Ethan and Zena first, that means that he would have had that in his hand the whole time while he was assaulting them, and then carried it upstairs or put it in his pocket and it fell out upstairs, I suppose, is possible. But it's more plausible that he went upstairs first. And it makes sense to me because he needed two hands to remove that knife from that sheath. Okay, so he takes it. It's cold. I don't know if he has like a hooded sweatshirt on or whatever, and he has it in his pocket, or he just carried it in his hand. Whatever the case, when he took it out, when he began the assault with the knife on whoever was closest to him, I would imagine he wanted to silence both of them as quickly as possible. So, uh, and they haven't given out any information about the wounds or anything like that, or order of assault. We don't know who was assaulted first or last, so I'm making a big assumption here. I'm just going by educated guess. But he would have had to the girls and fight or flight or freeze or fawn. Um, Not a lot of people have heard fawn. Fawn is where when you get put in a situation like that, you try and please whoever's wanting to hurt you, so that they'll stop, so they'll leave you alone. But once the assault starts, people protect themselves. That's why they have what's called defensive wounds, and they say that some of the victims did have defensive wounds. I didn't see that in here. We haven't seen the coroner's report. I don't know where that comes from. Could be true, could be not true. I don't know. But we'll find out once that coroner report gets released. But he would have had to put that sheath down. And I know this sounds graphic, and I hate even talking about it, but it just is what it is. I'll apologize ahead of time. But he may have had to use, say he's right-handed and he's assaulting him with the left hand. We don't know which way he's holding the knife. Is he holding it like this, or is he stabbing like that? Well, he may have had to grab them, a leg, an arm, hip, to pull them over because they're protecting themselves. They're curling up in like the fetal position. It's a human instinct to protect your vital organs and protect your head. It just happens. So he may have dropped the sheath while he was trying to position them into a better position for him to cause more injuries to vital organs and the such. So, and I'm sorry I had to say that. It's not something you like to think about, or God, I sounded Canadian right there. Think about. Never even been to Canada, but it's graphic and it's gory, and I don't like it. Never cared for it. But unfortunately, it's a reality today. It's been a reality since the world started, actually. So I think he started on the third floor, dropped the sheath, didn't realize he dropped the sheath, but I believe that he had killed who he came there to kill. The other girl happened to be in that room, so and he didn't know it, didn't realize it. She may have gone in that room. Kaylee may have gone in that room and shut the door and locked her dog in her room and went over there, because I guess they were texting Kaylee's ex-boyfriend. I haven't seen that anywhere. So take that with a grain of salt as well. That hasn't come out totally and been confirmed. But I think he killed who he wanted to kill. And as he went downstairs, if he went in around 4 or a little after 4, he may have just gotten upstairs as Zaina went and got her DoorDash, or somewheres there abouts. They missed each other in that time frame. But then as he was coming down and wanting to leave, maybe Zaina saw him, and that's who said, "Hey, there's somebody here." She may have said that to Ethan or what have you. And then he felt as though he had to go there and deal with that problem. So he did. And as he was leaving, like I said, he went back by that neon light, and Dylan had a door cracked a little bit. I'm sure she didn't have it wide open, because he definitely would have seen her. And if she screamed or fought or whatever, I have no doubt in my mind that he would have taken the time to probably try and kill her, at least. Um, and he left the scene, and then she locked her door. Now, she didn't call for 12 hours. Didn't call the police, and from what I understand, when she did call the police, she ran outside, dialed 911, and then she passed out. And somebody else, a friend or somebody walking by, somebody that knew her, took the phone and actually spoke to the 911 dispatcher. That's why they sent a deputy out there for an unresponsive person, because she had passed out. I remember when this first all came out, everybody's like, "That's bullshit." Unresponsive. You'd know the difference between a stabbed person and unresponsive. But it makes sense. I haven't heard the 911 call. I haven't heard the police, law enforcement release that, but it makes sense, and that's probably the case. That's not something that would be a rumor that people would start to speculate about. That's sensational or anything like that. So I believe that. So here's here's what they did. They didn't have much to go on, honestly. They've got this sheath, and as it turns out, it has a single male's DNA on it, right? And let's do that first, right? We'll get to the other stuff, but let's do that. Let's do that snap first, right? Like I said, God knows how many people touched that snap, and it only had one person's DNA on it, so he sterilized that thing. But instead of going from the night of the attack to the day of the arrest, let's work backwards, okay? So I can show you how this stuff works and how this forensics is amazing. Since I started in '90, it's come a long way, but it's amazing. So they find this um, touch DNA, which is 7 or 8 minimum skin cells. How small that is, but that's enough. You can get DNA off of a fingerprint, actually, which is amazing. It's just amazing. So they were able to get, a full DNA sample off of it. They put it into the system, no hit. This person has um, never been arrested. When I was working for the sheriff's office, the only people that got swabbed for DNA were felons. Even before if they got released out of prison or out of jail, they got swabbed before they were released, or they did not get released. So they all succumbed to it. And actually, all of us deputies got swabbed. We were some of the first ones in the system, which is a good thing, because you want to clear yourself as soon as you can. I had no problem giving my DNA. But as you know, they have these companies, 123 and Me, or 20, whatever it is, genealogy stuff. We're all familiar with that. So they didn't have that DNA in the system. So they use this genealogy, and they get, excuse me, they get a hit um, to a family in Pennsylvania. So, and the rest of this stuff, and that's why this thing's 19 pages long. But they obtain, by the time they get that information, they obtain a DNA sample from the trash, and it comes back, the YBR chromosomes, to show that the man that lives in this house is 99.99998% chance that he is the biological father of whoever's DNA was on that sheath. Okay. Now, say he had 20 sons, right? So it's one of his sons, but he doesn't. He doesn't have 20 sons. I wish he did. And I wish they found 57 um, DNA samples on that sheath. And the more, the better. Because out of all those, it still comes back to him. So anyways, come to find out, hey, his son works at University of Washington, Washington State University, 10 miles away. Now, during this time, they find out through a video canvassing of the neighborhood that this white Elantra is very suspicious. It's around at the right times in the right location, so they're able to surmise that it's more than likely involved in some way, shape, form, or manner. So they put out a bolo for it, right? So this really heads up Washington State University officer. He runs all the plates of the Elantras, registered for the school to come and go from the school, which was awesome. And he took it even a step further, and he found out that this was registered to this guy Brian. Now, some of the videos that they got of said vehicle showed that it only had rear plates, didn't have a plate on the front. Not many states um, have that anymore. Most of them have front and back, but it's the East Coast mostly. Hi, Lindsay. How are you? It's the East Coast mostly. Odd enough. I think Arizona is the closest one out west. So as it turns out, that's another tie, because Pennsylvania only uses rear plates. Okay, so it comes back to this guy. So they start looking at him, right? So when they pull up his information, they're able to see his driver's license and all that because he's in the system. So they look at it, he's 6 foot, 185 pounds, bushy eyebrows. Still doesn't mean he did it. Okay. But he checks another box. So they look into it a little bit further and they're able to find out that he was pulled over. He was pulled over by, we already went over the videos of him being around in the area and all that stuff matched up. He was, if he did this, he was in all the right spots at the right time. And the people that identified the car and went over this surveillance of the vehicle, these are FBI investigators, and they're forensics examiners. And this one guy has 35 years of experience. So, you gotta believe him, wouldn't you? A lot of people are anti-law enforcement, but you can't be anti-experience, I don't think. Um, Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. In 35 years, this guy must have learned something a little bit. So they're able to track his whereabouts um, the day before, and somewhere in here it says that 12 times he had been there. So he's stalking. He's stalking one of those girls, and like I said, I think it's Madison, I believe her name is. That's who I would guess is Madison. So he got, I don't have the date on here. August 21st. There we go. August 21st. He was detained August 21st by Corporal Duke of Latah County. And it was a traffic stop. So he provided his phone number at that time. So now they have his phone number, and it's with AT&T. And I'm here to tell you, this is amazing to me. This amazes me. He was detained on October 14th as well by Washington State Police. And he was in that same car with that same plate. So, but they were able to take his phone number. And we already know they figured out that it didn't have a front plate. They were able to take his phone number and contact AT&T, get a subpoena, right? Which they have to do. They have to have a reason for that. They can't just willy-nilly do it. But you can get an administrative subpoena, which aren't as difficult to get, but still, they're hard. They get this subpoena, they send it to AT&T, and the very same day they get the information back. Kudos, AT&T. Kudos. That's amazing. I mean, I've heard of weeks and a month. So the same day is crazy. So on December 13th, so they're already on to this guy. Okay, they're already on to this guy. They start looking at what he was doing back in August and October. Let me see the date when November 29th. They were onto this guy November 29th. So the murders happened on the 13th. So it's crazy. That's quick. It's quick. They're on to him. They're not sure that yet he's a suspect, but they're he became more and more the main suspect as time went on. So they're on to this guy. And I'm here to tell you, they've got him under surveillance. And you people do not understand, and I don't mean to say that. Yeah, I'm not being condescending whatsoever with you people, but civilians, non-law enforcement types, surveillance is a lot different than what you think it is. Okay, when he drove across the country, he was being surveilled. He was being followed. He was being watched. Now it's not just like on TV, one or two cars and like a helicopter. No, if he's on the highway, there's like 12, 15 cars with law enforcement in them. And they'll have a couple in the front, couple on the sides, couple behind, a couple different aircraft. And they'll have one of the cars in the front will turn off an intersection so they don't bring attention to themselves. And then another car will take its place and it'll circle back around to the back, all the way across the country. I mean, those traffic stops were bullshit. You don't see a law enforcement officer lean in a window, especially with a passenger there, stick his arm in, make it vulnerable like that. That guy could have grabbed his arm, snatched him in, took his gun. You know, that's not how they teach to approach a vehicle in the academy. Trust me. So they want to put eyes on them for some reason. Those stops were bullshit. Those were not. Brian should request what? Sylvia, I don't know what you mean. But those, and you could tell by the look on his face, he was expecting to be arrested. There's no doubt about it. But so here's a guy. He's a PhD student, right? PhD student. His tuition money back because he didn't learn a damn thing in school. Yeah, yeah. I was laughing about that today. As I saw something. Here we go. Undergraduate degree in psychology and cloud-based forensics. He may have studied cloud-based forensics, but he certainly didn't learn any of it. Didn't learn any of it. But you know, you have to admit that this guy was efficient. Okay, and he did take some precautions, and he let his anger get the better of him. That's why I think when he went back the next day, and why didn't he go in there and look for the sheath? He seen there was no commotion. If he didn't see Dylan, the house was probably still empty. Those people in there were injured or whatever or dead. He's pissed. He's just so pissed at himself because he lost that sheath. But he applied to the police department in Pullman. They told him to fuck off. But yeah, and that December 23, they got they put in for the cell phone information and they got it back the same day. Now they were able to also get from AT&T very quickly all the information, checking if he's ever been there before, and they were able to figure out that he was there 12 times. And during what we would refer to in law enforcement as stalker hours, when you're not usually out and about, you're a fucking stalker, and you're in an area that you have no business being there. Okay, and we'll touch on that too real quick. I don't want to be too long on this. I don't want my first time back be a sleeper. So they get all this cell phone information and they give it to a CAST team, Cellular Analysis Survey Team, FBI agents. And they go around and They figure out everywhere that he went, when he went, where he was, what time he was there. Now, oh, Jesus, sorry, my shoulders. The one that got replaced feels much better than the other one. I can't wait till it heals up enough so I can get this left one replaced too. But during the traffic stops, okay, law enforcement, when they pull you over, pull anybody over. Now, nowadays, law enforcement vehicles have GPS on them, built into them. We used to call it the puck. Looks like a puck on the top of the truck, the SUV or the car or whatever you're driving. And you also call in to dispatch. You know, when I come on to do this podcast, you always hear me say, "My name is Ruckus and I'm 10-8." That means I'm Ruckus and I'm on duty. At the end, I say, "I'm Ruckus and I'm 10-7." That means I'm Ruckus and I'm off duty. Well, when you pull a car over, you call it in to dispatch and you let them know your call sign, the plate number, the make, the model of the car, if you know it, or the year. And because it's difficult to pass on that information if you've been injured, if you've been shot, hit by another vehicle, what have you. So now dispatch knows where you're at. Now we have GPS, but they still call it in. It's just a backup method to it. Well, they were able to take and make maps, and that's why they. Another reason, another reason why there's 19 pages, and that's unheard of. But this is how far they went to corroborate this stuff. He got pulled over during one of the times when they were able to follow him. It was one of the nights he was being a creepy fucker, and he was out there stalking around their house. Well, he got pulled over one of those nights, and there's GPS that has location, date, and time on it that's official. So they were able to match that up with the cellular phone information. And so then, hey, Time Wave, what's up? Is were you able to get on the Discord? Did you try the Discord, brother? Because I have it set up. It should be able to just pop on. You guys, I'm working on. There's a voice channel in my Discord that I should be able to hear you on this. So if you wanted to talk to me, you just go on my Discord and hit the voice for the podcast, and you don't have a camera or anything, but you can talk to me, tell me what an idiot I am. But where was I? Oh, so they were able to match the law enforcement data with the cell phone data twice, 2 different occasions, and it matched. So in court, the defense can't play this, well, triangulation of cell phone towers is inaccurate and yada, yada, yada. And it's really not. I mean, you have to have three, and it has to overlap, triangulate three. The word three is right in it. And you can get it down to pretty close. But he had, and I bet you they use it too. There's a unit. It's like OnStar. Everybody's heard of OnStar because Chevy has it, and I think Ford has it. But Hyundai has a thing called Blue Link. It's the same thing. They have to subpoena it like the cell phone records, and all models have them installed. Some of them just don't have it activated. You can pay for it. Sometimes you get free 3 months or whatever. But even if it's not activated, they can still locate a vehicle. They can still do things like unlock the doors and stuff like that in emergencies. So they'll be able to subpoena that information and track it. But just a quick story. It depends on the company as well, because OnStar got sued once because law enforcement was using OnStar to track a vehicle that they thought was involved with drug trafficking. They pulled that vehicle over, and they made a a shocking arrest. They bum rushed this vehicle. Well, there was a person in the passenger seat that was totally innocent, didn't know what was going on, had no idea what was going on, and was able to prove that he had a presumption of privacy by being in that vehicle. So his Fourth Amendment rights were violated. He sued and won. OnStar had to pay because you certainly don't think the sheriff's office is going to say, yeah, well, you know what? That's our fault. We'll pay. No, they're like, hey, you did it for us. That's on you. So had to go through a whole bunch of shit so they can start using OnStar again to get information. But I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I mean, everything these days, everybody's suing everybody. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so they were able to nail that down. So they can't say in court that no, that stuff's not accurate. Well, yeah, ding ding ding. It is accurate, you know. I feel like they have an avalanche of evidence once they process what they've collected during the warrants after arrest. Absolutely. They haven't even finished processing him. you know. They're going to photograph his whole body, head to toe. And his injuries will not be gone by now, if there were any injuries. I doubt that everybody just laid down for him. Um, and then it just shows, after the attack where he was, he went to the store and the such. Okay, so and on 12/15 is when he got pulled over when he's driving across country with his dad. Now his dad flew out there to drive back because poor Brian is afraid to fly. So I'm glad that they flew him from Pennsylvania back to Idaho, and which has to be the slowest fucking plane that was ever made, because people were able to track it, which I was surprised. It's not common for law enforcement to announce when they're transporting inmates, either date, time, or mode. It's dangerous. It's dangerous business. So they usually don't. So I was kind of shocked that people actually able to track this thing almost as soon as it took off and figure out what it was, because it was registered to the Pennsylvania police. Yeah, Sylvia, that's hilarious, isn't it? But it's still it's dangerous stuff. But they're flying, so it's not as bad. It's hard to interfere with a flying object as it is to one that's driving. But nonetheless, I thought that it was odd that it was that easy, I guess. But today's technology, you can get around it. Now, so I have an issue with his dad. Okay, his dad was in the car with him, but everybody knew about this case. It was on the news everywhere. And since his son lived right there, I'm sure there was a phone call or some kind of discussion. Everybody knew they were looking for a white Elantra similar to the one his son drove. So there had to be some kind of conversation with, hey, did you call and make sure that they're not looking for your car? Or did you make sure it's cleared? Excuse me. So he was at least aware, you know. I don't know if he knew his son did it. I don't know how close they are, but on some level, he must have said, my son drives one of those cars. Well, that sucks. So I know I would be concerned, and any of you guys that are parents, think about it. If your kid lived out there, drives a white Elantra, lives in the area, and they're looking for a white Elantra, I would call too, you know. So, and the way he acted too, he looked like during those stops, he looked like he was expecting to be arrested to me. I've seen that look before. So now that car is going to be a plethora of evidence in there. I don't care if he put a tarp on the seat and then sat on it. There's going to be evidence in that vehicle. I don't care how good he cleaned it. There's going to be evidence in that vehicle. The thing is that we don't know, did he wear overclothing or stuff like that? They'll find some stuff, though. I'm here to tell you, they'll find some stuff. And if you think that this, because it's 19 pages, everybody's hung up on that. And if that's all they got, they're screwed. And here's what I couldn't believe. They released this. Now, this is just the warrant, folks. The arrest warrant. This is not the probable cause affidavit. This is the arrest affidavit. I mean, the warrant affidavit. So this was just showing enough information to a judge that, hey, here, with all this information, do you think a reasonable person would think that he did it? Well, sure, absolutely. Boom, 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 go arrest him. So now I lost my train of thought again. I get so goddamn stupid. Oh, the Delphi. They sealed up that Delphi PCA. Now, it's a little different. They didn't need an arrest warrant for that. They just went and got him. This guy was in another state, which makes things a little bit more difficult. They have to send it out there and have to verify the warrant before they do a no-knock SWAT arrest. I heard they broke windows, kicked in doors, all that shit. Good morning. But they sealed up the Delphi document and then redacted very little of it, I think. Took some names out. But then they released this one, this whole thing. It's like, man, it's different states are so different the way they do shit. It's amazing. The probable cause would come out after the next hearing, Sylvia. And that's another thing, too. He, and I don't know if you guys understand the process of what happens during something like this. And that's where, I was booking for a long time. I've had so many PCs and been to so many advisories and you name it, warrant arrests, you name it. I could go do that shit right now. Do it in my sleep. The way it should have happened, he got arrested in another state. Immediately, within 24 hours, they have to have a hearing. And if he doesn't have his own attorney, they have to assign him an attorney to, I've got my, hey, bud, can you hear me? Yeah, there you go, bud. Can you guys hear him? I don't know if they can hear you on the thing or not yet. Are you in the vocal thing or did you call me? Yeah, I don't see you in the live podcast section. I see you just on my Discord, calling me on the Discord. If you go into my Discord, there's live podcast. That's where you need to click into. And then it'll tie. There you go. I see you there now. Try it now. That's why I wanted to check this out to see how this works. We've got to get it up and rolling. Let me see. Okay. Can you hear me? I'm trying to see if I can hear you on the podcast. If not, I'll have to figure something else out. Guys, this is my buddy, the prof. We're going to call him the prof. Awesome guy. He has a PhD. And he's fun to talk to. Him and I talk to each other on the actually on the phone. We exchange phone numbers. We talk for hours, which is funny because I was like, we got GED, me, and then PhD, you. He's a doctor, and I'm a dummy. But we talk for a long time, and we don't agree on much either. But we don't argue. We just talk. But anyway, we'll figure this out because we got to get him on here. Him and I could talk for a while, and you guys would find it really interesting. He's a great guy, and he has a lot to say. And the way he says it is, he knows how to dumb it down for me. He doesn't use all those big book learned words that confuses people like me. But what should have happened is he got arrested there. Obviously, they got a copy of the signed warrant, so they initiated and effected the arrest. Within 24 hours, he goes before a judge. If he can't afford or does not have an attorney, they assign him an attorney. That attorney has one job and one job only: to represent this person, to fight extradition if he does not want to return, and also to make sure that that is him, indeed him. It's they don't have the wrong person. Some people have the same names and they arrest the wrong person. It has happened. So they figured out pretty quickly that yes, it was him. And he said pretty quickly that he wants to return. He's not going to fight extradition. So that should have been it. That lawyer should have shut the fuck up and went back to his office and finished his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But no, this asshole wants 15 minutes of fame, starts going on TV saying my client is going to return and exonerate himself. So everybody jumped on that. Oh, exonerate. That meant it doesn't mean anything. Whatever that guy said to me means zip. Shut the fuck up. You were there for one reason and one reason only: to help him fight extradition if he wanted to. He didn't, so fuck off. Go eat your sandwich and shut the fuck up. So immediately Idaho arranged to come get him. Now, this is the only thing that I can surmise. And when it comes to court stuff and shit like that, I am really smart about that stuff. Not because I am smart, because I did it so much. They have what's called the advisory. Okay, now what he had in Pennsylvania was he wasn't advised of his rights or the charges. He was advised that he was being held um, for a charge in the state of Idaho. They didn't give him too much information about it. A judge signed a warrant and they want you there. So when they assigned him an attorney, that tells Idaho already that this guy is indigent. Now, I've been to so many advisory hearings. The judge will say, can you afford an attorney? No, no, no. Okay, I find you indigent, which means broke. You have nothing. And I'm going to appoint you an attorney. That's the only thing I can think of, is that Idaho said, well, if he's indigent there, he's definitely going to be indigent when he gets here. Because what should have happened is he gets flown to Idaho, right? Within 24 hours of being booked into that jail, he goes to an advisory hearing in front of an Idaho judge who advises him, you were arrested for this, 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 and this. Just what we saw the other day. And that's when they say you have zero bond and all of that. And they talk about no contact orders and the such, no contact with the victim or the victim's family, and that's like, duh, no, but you have to. I've seen cases where people come in on domestic, judge says no contact with the victim. The wife comes and pick the husband up as he's getting out of jail. And what happens? They both freaking go to jail right there in the parking lot. They both get locked up. All right, let's try this again here, Prof. All right, I don't think you're on the podcast. I can hear you on my phone though, I think. Can you hear me? Okay, so you're coming over my computer. Um so hang on one second. Can you guys hear him? Oh no, she said she didn't hear you. Say something now though, cuz it's come to a little different. Okay. Sylvia, can you hear him at all? It's gonna bum me out if I can't figure this out. And you know what though? I will figure it out. It's not gonna take me forever to figure it out either. Well, I shouldn't have to be in there, but I did go in there. So, but I don't think it's coming through, buddy. So, Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Bye. Okay. He's going to try and go into the live again and see if we can get it figured out. So, anyways, they'll assign you an attorney. Well, he had one already. Not just an attorney. When it's a case like this, the public defender's office is filled with very young attorneys, or attorneys that are lazy, or later in their career type thing. Not many of them have handled any big cases like this. Well, in a death penalty case, you have to be represented by an attorney who has handled a death penalty case before. So they had to assign him attorney, just like Rick Allen in Delphi. He got some really good attorneys working for him because it's a death case and death penalty case, and the same thing here. I was just surprised that they already had it. Remember Rick Allen's hearing? He had nothing at first. It wasn't until his next thing, and they said, "Can you afford an attorney?" He said, "Yes." And then he wrote them a note and said, "Hey, I fucked up. I can't afford an attorney." So that's when they supplied him one. Well, we didn't even get that far with this kid. He gets back to Idaho, and he's already got this female hotshot that's representing him, which I thought was a little odd. But maybe, like I said, they were like, "Well, he was indigent there. He's going to be indigent here. Let's save everybody some time and appoint him an attorney. Let's find one that's willing to work with him." And of course, that wasn't hard to do because this is going to be their 15 minutes of fame. So, and this is running a little bit longer than I usually like, so I'm going to get it done as quick as I can here. So now the next hearing, Sylvia, and all that, I was telling you all that so I can answer your question. He did not, he got advised, it's called advisories. He got advised of his charges and what the consequences are and all that stuff. He was appointed an attorney. Now, the next hearing is called first appearance, okay? Not first advisories, appearance. At this appearance is when he's had time to talk to his attorney. His attorney's had time to look at his case. Now they're going to get his plea. So on this charge, how do you plead? Not guilty. On this charge, not guilty. Or guilty, or the Alfred, whatever they do. No contest, whatever they decide to do. But it's at that point, or soon after, very soon after, that they will release the PCA. He has to be notified and make an official plead on the cases before they can release that document. And the same thing with Rick Allen. It was kind of odd the way they did that. The PC there was just a probable cause for arrest, kind of like this warrant was. But it wasn't the whole PCA. That's not all they have in Delphi either. And this is not all they have on this. You guys are going to be amazed. If this is the first time that you followed cases like this and saw the paperwork and how the system works and stuff, you're going to be amazed from here on out. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. The amount of logistics that go into these things. But this is America. They want to make sure they get it right, you know? The jury selection is going to be interesting because both parties have an interest in that, and they both get a chance to select the jury and speak with the jury. So it's going to be a collective selecting of the jury, and sometimes that gets ugly as hell too. But that's it. I just want to come on and address that stuff and say hello to everybody. I've got like 5 or 6 more people. So I see he tried it again, but it didn't work. I'll get it figured out. Him and I will get it figured out somehow. Because I want you guys to be able to come on and talk if you want to. If you don't have to. But I will keep you guys abreast of any of the new stuff that comes in, because I can explain it in layman's terms and fill you in on what's going on and what this shit actually means. But both cases, Delphi and this one, there's a lot more to come from law enforcement. And unfortunately, after this next hearing for Rick Allen, and in Indiana, they have, like, he had to get a special hearing for his bond, and that's what's coming up. And that's when we're going to find out a lot more about that one. Idaho has more like a Florida flavor to their system. So they'll release more information, right after the next hearing. But unfortunately, after that, after these next hearings and the PC and the stuff like that comes out, with all this information about what the state has and what they intend on doing, after that, facts cease to matter. Facts don't matter one bit after that. It's all courtroom theatrics, smoke and mirrors, sleight of hand, bullshitting the jury. And I just suggest you just remember the O.J. Simpson, Johnny Cochran, um, Casey Anthony, Jose Baez. They presented beautiful cases and got people off that they absolutely positively knew were guilty. To me, they're both pieces of shit for doing that. But that's what we're going to deal with from here on in. Facts do not matter. The defense just wants to find one person on that jury to give reasonable doubt. Now, beyond reasonable doubt is not 100%. It doesn't have to be 100%. Beyond reasonable doubt is like 90%. Yeah, it had to be him. So it's not too bad. The burden of proof isn't horrible. It's just a burden of proof. You have to prove it. But folks, it's what's called direct evidence. His DNA being at the crime scene is direct evidence. He was there. His DNA cannot crawl off of his body and crawl over to the fucking crime scene. He was there. Direct evidence. Indirect evidence would be if they found his driver's license next to the body. That doesn't look very good, does it? No, but it doesn't mean that you did it. It doesn't mean that you're guilty. Somebody else could have brought the driver's license and put it there. Okay, but listen, asshole, your DNA's at that fucking crime scene. You did it. He's fucked, is what's going to happen. They cannot explain away that DNA at all. Not one little bit. Not one little bit. Hi, Christine. So, yeah, he's definitely done, Prof. He's done. Stick a fork in him. He's off like a prom dress. They, like Indiana, they have the death penalty, but Indiana's only executed like 7 people in 20 something odd years, you know? So, there's no telling. They don't have a fast lane like Texas. Texas, you fuck up in something like this, they put you at the front of the line and they kill you as quick as they can. But the average stay in Florida is 12 years, and we've been over that a few times. So that's all I got for this. If you didn't catch it, I apologize. I suppose you can go back and watch it. It's kind of lengthy. Um, but I didn't talk too much rubbish. Most of it was pretty. I said this word once, informationative instead of informative, and I didn't catch it. And my son, who is law enforcement, he just snickered at me until I realized it. And I was like, "Oh, did I just say informationative?" He's like, "Yeah, Dad, you're making up words now. You're getting old. You'll see now. Fuck." So that's it. That's all I have. I'm going to put together some more stuff. I want to figure out this Discord thing because you guys will love this guy, the Prof. He's a fun guy to talk to. He knows his shit. He has some great insights. Uh, he's a little too conspiracy for me. He's quick to put together a conspiracy. But I'll tell you what, none of it's just bullshit to me. I listen to every word he says and we talk about it. So we just look at things differently, and you guys will like him. He's a good guy. And I'd love to hear from all of you guys. I think that would be a hoot to hear all you guys come on here and have something to say and give me some shit. But until next time, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, tell your friends. I love doing this stuff, and I want to continue doing it, and I will continue doing it. But I just want to get some more folks on here. It's fun to do. But until next time, I will talk to you guys later.